Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today, big surprise, we're back on the Stitches Challenger, continuing on with the underseat area in this passenger side floor pan. I don't have a plan yet, so we're going to figure it out together.
This is My Cars Shop.
If you've been following along, you know that we have completed the driver's side 100%. It's not only all done, but we have finished it up. And now we're on the passenger side floor pan. We've got the toe board done. We've got the footboard done. Everything is done up to the under seat area. So we're going to get on the wire wheel and go over this one more time and just see exactly where we're at. We'll spin the car up, take a look underneath, and then see exactly what we're dealing with. We have just a few little teeny pinholes in here, and I'm not too worried about most of that. Structurally, it's fine, but I do want to go over it with the wire wheel just to make sure that more of that doesn't disappear before I determine exactly what I'm going to replace and what I'm just going to pour 15 patch and stuff like that. So we got to clean it on this side and the other side. Well, I was kind of hoping to just do a couple little patches, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just replace this whole piece here. It's just as easy to make a long piece as it is a short piece. So that'll probably be what I do. I go find my my little gauge tool for making this stuff, and then we'll get a piece of sheet metal and get that knocked out. So if you remember from when we made all that stuff over there, I had built this gauge tool. So this should be what we need to make that right there. So I'm going to go over and get a piece of sheet metal that's longer than that and probably come from here to here. So we'll get a dimension on that, and we'll get this piece made to put in this place here. Now we'll take our gauge tool and we'll lay everything out how we want it to be. It's 4 inches. Yeah, we're probably go ahead and lay out the metal just so I know where it's at. Always work from your factory edge if you have it. That's the best way. Okay. And of course we know our middle is right there. Just like that. So now we'll go through and put our transfer cuts here and here, so we know exactly where those lines are, and then we'll be able to take this over to the metal brake and start bending. And I need to think through what's up, what's down. The second thing I want to do is I want to grind all this down before we start bending, because it's easier to clean it now than it is to clean it after it's bent. And there we go, we got our transfer cuts done. So now we know, we can flip this over and know exactly where it needs to be bent both ways. And of course I got to think through what's flat, what gets bent where. So let's see, this is flat, this goes down, this goes basically flat parallel to this, this comes up, and then this is flat. So there we go, all cleaned up, both sides. It's a little warm. We got our transfer slots now on both ends, so we can tell every time we have to flip this in the sheet metal brake, what has to happen. So what I want to do now is just mark one side as top so I know what I'm dealing with, so that I always have my thing. And then we're going to mark this as down, flat, flat. Kind of technically is down and then flat. So we know that dump, 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 even though this is kind of the up and this is up too, but you get what I'm saying. So I don't think I need to mark that on the other end, but I will mark this on the other side. Just so I can see it on both sides as I'm flipping it over in the brake. All right, let's head over to the sheet metal brake, and I might need to make a hole. Yeah, I think I kind of need to, because I got to work on it a little bit more in depth. I got to move that snow blower. I'll just move it outside. It's nice out today. So I'll take you through the process of doing this again, just so you see what's got to be done. So if this is our flat, and I'm going to put this in the brake like this, then this bend is wrong. It's because this needs to bend down. So we got to put it in this way. Then we line up our slots with the edge of our brake. Make sure I got the right ones, because I didn't. Like so. I did have a stop on here for our degrees, but I think we'll just wing it. So now I'm bending the first one. This is the down. Okay, let's check our angle. Okay, that's right. See, I freaked myself out. But this is flat, that goes down, so the next bend has got to be this way. But let's go check that angle against the floor of the car real quick. It's pretty close. I'm not getting quite as crisp of an edge as I would like here, but I'm not going to mess with it. I would have to put my angle iron piece on here, and then that becomes a real pain. So then the next one we got to go is this way. And we've got a little bit of an issue there. There we go. That's close. This is the challenge here, is because this piece is just a bit wider, and I remember that now from before. So we may end up shoving everything just a little bit wider than it was, but it'll be all right. Let me bend this up to be parallel. Okay, I went too far. Dang it. So I got to flatten that back out just a little bit. We're going to use the scientifically approved method of flattening it. That's not bad. Okay, so then this one has to be up, so we have to go this way. Okay, you got to go a little more. Our angles aren't quite the same here. Oops. Helps if you clamp it down first. Just saying. Okay, those are really close there now. So now we'll bend our last one, and we'll bend this one flat. This sheet metal brake is pretty much a piece of crap, but it does the job. Okay, and we're going to try to make this one flat with this one, so all we have to do is straighten that one out. See, I still went too far. There we go. Close enough. Not too shabby. Not perfect. Don't care about perfect, just care about done. So now I'm going to cut this back so I can get this end tapered up like you've seen me do before. Then I'll be able to determine my length. Here. Now here's a happy accident that happened. Let me take you over to the car. So you can see that this is a lot longer than it needs to be. And I didn't intend this, I didn't plan this, but I have a bad spot here and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I could lie to you and pretend to have all kinds of brilliance and say, yeah, I made this extra long so I could just cut this piece off and put it there. But quite frankly, I didn't think of that until after I got this done. I went, oh yeah, I'm going to have an extra 6 inches that I can use to fix that spot. So there you go. One of those happy little accidents. I'm going to take and cut this up a little further so I can make that angle, and so forth, to make that taper on the end. And we'll go from there. Now we'll be able to easily and make an end. And I'm going to go ahead and do that before I put it in the car, I think. We'll see. That end is rough form now, so we're good. Now we just need to measure it out and determine where this end needs to be. So I'll go get my soft tape and we'll get that done. So that's our length we need right there. We'll cut that off and then we'll have this other little piece to patch that other spot. Got this end all cut up now to do our taper like that, so we'll go ahead and get this bent up and in place, chopped off the way we need to, and then we'll be able to test fit this in the car 1 time, or 2 times, or 10 times, or whatever. And there's our other little piece here. Oh, hit my safety shield, so we'll get that one chopped up here in a minute. I realized that maybe I didn't know how I was doing this. I'm just using a pair of vice grips, or whatever these things are, China grips. I don't know, something. Pittsburgh grippers. Okay, then I'm going to take the cutoff wheel and just kind of cut those off. That angle may not be quite enough. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, it should be good. Then we just take our cutoff wheel and go in here and buzz this off at the correct angle. Then we bend these, kind of, sort of, you know what I'm saying. It's all just ballparks. It's all just figuring it out as you go. Was a little bit too long yet, so I had to go ahead and nibble it off a little bit more, but now it fits down in there nice. So we're going to take our marker or whatever and trim that out and determine what we're going to cut. And probably, I was thinking about cutting and butting this, but I don't know. I'm not a huge, I have nothing against cut and butt, don't get me wrong. It definitely has its place, but I have some philosophizing about a unibody car. It's just my personal opinion. I've done cut and butt, you've seen me do it. But I don't know, I just have some theories, and here I'll explain it to you. 2 things on a unibody. Remember that every piece of sheet metal in a unibody car pretty much is structural. And I don't use 18 gauge steel for stuff. I use 20 gauge for the most part. I find it just a little bit easier to work with. And that's what I've been doing for, 30, 40 years. So I've used some 18 gauge pieces and I can definitely do it. So here's my philosophizing. If I was going to use the heavier metal and the metal that I was attaching to was a little bit thicker, I probably wouldn't be against doing cut and butt on a unibody. But I feel like overlap, just doing a 1/2 inch overlap and flange weld is a bit stronger than a cut and butt, especially when I'm using 20 gauge and the original metal is obviously not nearly as thick as it was. So right or wrong, that's just my thinking. Again, I'm not against it at all. I think it's a great thing if you want to do a seamless or virtually seamless weld. It's very strong when you're using thicker metal than I do. Again, it's just different ways of doing things, and I don't want to. Fitzy does a lot of cut and butt. That's what he's known for. I'm not against it at all. I love what he does and so forth, and I definitely have learned a lot from him. But I'm not going to demonstrate what he does. He's already demonstrating that. So I'm going to demonstrate what I've been doing all my life. And so there you go. Not that I'm against learning new things or doing new things at all. This is just me. This is what I do. So that way you get a different perspective. Now that I got it outlined, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, leave about a 1/2 inch lap or so, and leave a little bit more on the ends, and then we'll determine exactly where we're going with it. Forgot that there was a seatbelt hole mount support brace there, so clean that up a little bit, but we're good, no problems. So tempted to pop that out of there and clean it up and put it back, but we'll make that decision later. I think I'm ready to what I'm trying to say is I'm ready to start fitting that down in there now. So a little bit puzzled why that isn't clearing there, but it might be because this is a little bit deeper than the piece I cut out. So no big deal. We'll make it work. Guarantee that's what it is. But I can tap that down and make clearance there, so that won't be a problem at all. So I think I'm going to go through and just drill some plug weld holes, and then we'll be ready to pretty much ready to install this. I want to get my grinder in here and clean that up a little bit more underneath, so we have some real good clean metal. And then of course I need to get some paint or something on there so that it doesn't rust. Not that it won't rust anyway, because it's going to be sealed on both sides, and you have to have moisture and air get at it for it to rust. But still, I just always feel better if I have a little material in there. You know, just what I'm saying. Progress. Snuggling down in there nicely. No complaints there. Kind of snuggled it down in under here. We'll deal with that from the bottom side. I think we can get at this okay from the bottom side. So that's going to look nice. I'm really pleased with that. So let's get a grinder out, get this cleaned up a little bit, and we'll go from there. There we go. She's just got to dry. And I think I will take this time to go get some lunch, and then we'll come back. So that's good progress. Little bites, making steps forward. And remember, that's what this is about, is just documenting and sharing with you each little bite in the process here. So it's not necessarily about accomplishing some massive task. It's just about coming along, spending the day with me in the shop, and working on whatever it is that I'm working on, just like you were here helping me, because you are here helping me. So I started cutting this out because I got this piece made. And I can't use my big wheel there because it's just way too big to cut into that, because I'm trying to cut a much narrower piece. So this is why I keep these old cutoff wheels around. I can put this one on my little air grinder and come in here and cut that without cutting way into, you know, other stuff. So we're going to get that done here real quick. But I wanted to mention that I never throw out stuff like this until it literally gets down to where it's unusable, because I can always put it on a different grinder and use it there. So I'll put it on that little pneumatic one, and we'll go from there. There we go. Now our little piece should fit down in there pretty decent. So now we just need to trim it to fit. I think I'm going to go ahead and bend it over this, take this out of the way for now, and I'll figure out how I'm going to join that together when I put this piece in. I'm not ready to put this piece in yet because I wanted to get this section done first. Pretty close. We're going to go ahead and hammer form that down into place. I am going to go ahead and butt weld that down on that end, and that way it'll just flow better there. and then we'll fit it in there the rest of the way. That's going to be pretty nice, I think. Not going to be perfect, but it's going to be done, is what I'm trying to say. So I need to move this piece of floor pan out of the way so I can hammer weld that into place and stuff like that. Cut that out of there so that this piece will now fit right down in here nicely flush, fits in there the right way. So that's pretty good. That's going to flow nice. And we'll get that all done up here now. Just got to drill some plug weld holes here. Then I can get it to also be able to do a stitch weld between the two panels once everything fits into place. First piece is spotted in. Now we get to fit the next piece and make it, make it. And I do need to drill a couple of spot weld holes in that to get it to mount to that seat belt thing also. So we need to do that. We'll do that before we put that in there, but we're close. So again, it's just tacked in for now. We'll make that pretty in a bit. Little bitty spot welds aren't going to turn out to be a real nice bead, so understand that. That's the way it goes with putting sheet metal in like this. So I've obviously got to do a little work in here. I'll make a couple of little filler pieces and so forth. You've seen me do the same thing over there. Nothing new to see here. Yeah, I pulled this floor out here so that I could just work on this up in here a little bit better, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to blend that once I put that in. I don't have any paint for this. I forgot to get paint. I bought primer. I forgot to get paint, so I got to get the paint to paint this before I can put that floor in anyway, but I wanted to get this section done in here before we mounted that in case, just in case. And a good thing I did because of the way I'm fitting this. I think this is going to be nice. There we go, a couple of clecos holding it in place. It fits nicely against this one now. So we can go through and clean up our plug weld on the bottom where, with our broken off drill bit like we always do. Everything is rust conditioned on the bottom. Of course, we have access to it from the bottom also, but still I thought I would go ahead and do it, especially since it's above that subframe connector, which reminds me, I do need to weld those onto that cross member at some point. They're just tacked on, but that's no big deal. We'll get that done. One of these times when we flip the car up, we'll just hit it, be done with it. But anyway, this is getting close. So looking good. I'm pleased with the way this is turning out so far. Just like that, just like downtown, just not quite as crowded. So I'm thinking about these ends, and I'm thinking I'm going to do them a little differently than I did on the other side. So just give me a minute to get my poop in a group here. Got to think about it, but I got an idea. Which is, I know it's scary, I get it. But I'm going to try something and we'll see if it works. Well, my idea was going to be to cut the ends out and make some little pieces to go down in there and blah, blah, blah. And I realized as much time as it would take me to do that, I could just fill weld it, grind it, be done with it. So I think it turned out pretty respectable. I just need to get my grinder out now and go through and dress things up. Remember, the whole goal isn't to make it perfect. The goal is to make it done. And I think we're doing that. As long as it's structurally sound. Underneath a seat at 80 miles an hour, I don't think anybody's going to see this. And even at a car show, if people are crawling around underneath with their magnifying glass, they deserve to see what they see. It is a car called Stitches. Now, I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying that it's not going to look decent underneath. I'm saying I'm not going to hide the fact that I did this work. And in fact, I think you guys, when you see this car in person, are going to want to see what it looks like and see where the work is done. So I don't want to take it and make it, flawless where you can't see anything. It's just me. I don't care one way or another what somebody else thinks, but I'm having fun. I was telling Becky when I went in for lunch that I can't express just how much fun it is for me to make these little patches and do this stuff like this. It's just it's a great way to burn up a day and just escape from the bull crap of life and just do something that I feel really good about. And anybody that wants to piss in my Cheerios, that's fine because I don't eat Cheerios anyway. Just like that. It's a floor pan. Doesn't have rust holes in it anymore. It's a lot stronger than it was. I can live with it. It's going to look respectable. No complaints. All right, let's get the stuff out of here. Let's get the car spun up, get on the back side, and see what we got to dress up back there a little bit. And then we'll be good to go forward. Not bad. We'll be able to pull this up in place, get that tack welded in place at some point. I still have a lot of cleanup and dress up to do down here, obviously. I'm going to go over all of these seams with the POR 15 patch seam sealer when we get to that point. You can see, as I said, I haven't welded in our subframe connector yet, so we got to do that. But overall, you know, a little bit of hammer and dolly to tighten things up, but it's going to look fine. The main thing is no more Swiss cheese, and it's got some structural integrity to it. So that's all my goal has been from the beginning. Obviously, we got this all dressed up. A little more welding and dress up to do down there, I didn't see, but I got to do this here and that as well. So this subframe connector's welded into the frame good, but I just didn't blend it in like I did that one. And I really haven't spent any time under here at all getting things, you know, dressed up and prettied up. I will do all of that at once. Once we're done, we'll go through and we'll just knock this out. Once the trunk floor is in, and I've got a plan for that now. Once the trunk floor is in, we'll just go through and knock out the whole underside of the car in a couple of episodes, and then that'll be done. So we'll spin this back down. I actually had already sprayed some etching primer on it. I think I'm going to do that down here as well, just to you know, just to adjust to. Keep things from crusting and rusting a little bit. So there we go. I get it up in there, did we? Pretty much. Yeah, looks nice. As soon as that dries, we'll get some nice pictures of it, but I got no complaints with that at all. So we get some paint, and we'll get this painted underneath there. Then we can go ahead and final fit those floor pans. That'll be good. So our next chunk then will be doing this section right here, and we'll coordinate with that. Let me go grab the pieces that go back here, and we'll just figure out exactly what we got to do here. Looks like I already started to fit them anyway, so that's good. So we'll just have to make the joiner piece and final fit and trim. And you can see, as I said, they're a couple inches short. So we'll coordinate that with this piece and make this piece here a little bit bigger on both sides. So I think that'll be its own episode to get this joiner piece done in coordination with this. But we're cooking along here nicely. I'm not disappointed with the way this is turning out. I got to remember to, I haven't put the seat hole over there, and I got to put the bracket underneath. I got to find that. But if not, Bird's Do-It-Yourself Garage is actually sending me, or I mean, no, he was sending me the rear seat belt hole mount bolt thing, not the seat mount. But I've got it. I got to find it. It's around here somewhere for that front seat. If not, we'll make one. It's just a plate. It's no big deal. But I know it's here. I had one, so because I took it off. Was just noticing back here that I didn't dress any of those welds, which I don't think I had done over there either, but I didn't finish welding this floor pan down to the frame, and I think that was because when I did this floor pan I hadn't done the frame yet, and then I put the frame in after and I never finished it. So this part is all done. We're just gonna have to come back and finish it up. I see I got a few holes here and there I got to dress up, and we're gonna do some grinding and some more welding and stuff like that, and that's no big deal. But just full disclosure, this was part of this was because, as I said before, as I get so anxious to crank out content, and not just anxious, but back when I was doing some of this, I was filming the day before I was turning stuff out, and so it was just busting it trying to get stuff done to get you guys an episode. So that's where some of this has come from, is now I've got to go back as I'm in these positions now and really get it done. So, but it's yeah, it's looking good. I'm really excited to be this close. I wished I had time I could get that done today, but I don't. I'm about out of time. I got another project that I've got to do for Becky, a little fabrication project for the kitchen, and so I got to get going on that before I run out of time for the day. But yeah, I'm excited to get this finished up. Of course, we still got to go back and get that 4-speed hump done, but I'm not going to be too concerned about doing that immediately. That can wait for a while. I'd like to get the motor and the transmission mocked up and set in here at some point, and then I can do this. So we'll see if I do it while it's still on the rotisserie. Probably should, which means the motor and transmission won't be in it. I don't know. I got to think about it, but because of having to, clean it up and make it look good on the underside. But that's after I get all this done. I want to get all this done here. So I'm behind on my production schedule from where I want to be. So I just keep busting it, trying to get stuff turned out for you guys. And of course, that means that I keep moving forward on the project. I've gotten that part of the shop organized and straightened up, but it really needs some help. So we'll get to that eventually here. But when it comes down to organizing and cleaning or turning out content, you know that I'm going to give you guys content. Well, that's progress. Thanks for spending the day with me in the shop today. I appreciate it. We're over on the Face thing. We're over on Instant Grandma. She loves us and gives us chocolate chips and I don't know, stuff like that, I guess. / My Car Shop. The biggest thing you could do, and I would appreciate it so much, is share the channel, share the videos on any social media things that you happen to be on. If you're on bulletin boards, discussion forums, websites that allow you to post links, whatever it is, if you're excited about what I'm doing here, if you find this encouraging and educational, by all means, please feel free to share a link to the channel or to some videos and ask people to subscribe. The channel continues to grow. We're generating a little bit of revenue now, and that's nice. My goal, obviously, like most everybody else on YouTube, would be that this could turn into my full-time gig and that this would be my income stream, or be an income stream for me. And so, that's kind of what I'm shooting for here. And I appreciate all the support, all the gifts, all the donations, and everything that you guys send my way. Another thing that I want to say, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Don't let the naysayers come in and discourage you from trying stuff. Yeah, we're doing a car that you could, up until recently at least, you could buy most of this stuff that I've been making. But as you know out there, there's a lot of supply chain issues and it's hard to get things. We've already experienced that here with many parts for this car, and especially for the Duster, where we're purchasing more stuff over there than we're making. It's getting hard to get this stuff. It took 18 months to get a passenger side quarter panel for this Challenger. It took, oh my goodness, 3 or 4 months to get a driver's side front floor pan for the Duster. So, but you may be working on a project that you can't buy the parts from. So, just because they're available doesn't mean I should go out and buy it. For one thing, as you heard me say, I don't have that kind of money anyway. None of this would be getting done if I wasn't making it. But the second thing is, if you can't get it, why not try? Worst thing is it didn't work and you have to cut it back out. And somehow I think people feel like when you go to this work that somehow once it's done, it's ruined the car. That is so stupid. I mean, yes, there are some things that you could do that might ultimately ruin a car, but it's metal. And as long as structurally the car hasn't done a big twist, and even then you can still fix it. So what? 5 years from now, you're not happy with the work you did, you cut it back out and then you buy the parts and you put it in. All you're out is some time. But the one thing you're never out, and I can't emphasize this enough, is the learning that you got when you did this. I've been doing this for nearly 40 years. I've rarely went out and bought all the parts to do a car. I make stuff. I make do with stuff. I do things the old school hot rod way, where I fabricate and I use what I got around the shop and go to the junkyard and find stuff. That's what I've always done. No matter how much resources I have, that's probably what I will always do. That doesn't mean I may not do a one-off project where I get a car like this and I go out and spend $8,000, $10,000 and just order every single thing to put it together as a demonstration. But that's not the way I will be characterized by doing things. I do it DIY, home garage style, old school hot rod, and that's what I'm committed to. That's what I love to do. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And one more thing, I think this is the most important thing, and you guys know this, and I don't want you to forget. Raw!